Welcome to St Neots Parish Church. I've just turned the lights on inside and it's not yet completely dark outside, but it's got dark enough to begin to see the stained glass windows that we're very pleased to be able to light up for you every evening this Advent, leading right up to Christmas Eve, thanks in part to some sponsorship from the St Neots Town Council Christmas Lights Fund. I'm standing in front of the east window, the one that shows the crucifixion and the scene of Christ enthroned in glory above it, in order to take you on a very quick trip clockwise around the building to see the windows that we have. There are 15 of them at ground floor level that are going to be lit up for these next 4 weeks, and 4 of them are directly connected with the Christmas story. The first one, of course, here isn't connected. It's connected with the other end of the story, as it were. But we'll go fairly quickly past a window for the resurrection into that story that we celebrate at this time of year. So I'm moving on now to the smallest of the 15 windows that are going to be lit up. This is possibly the least good of our 15 windows, but it shows the scene of the resurrection with Jesus rising out of the tomb, with soldiers lying back in amazement, and with a reminder of some of the characters that he encounters in the stories that we tell around Easter time. But we move swiftly on from that to the first of our really big picture windows. This is the depiction of the wise men coming with their gold, frankincense and myrrh to meet Mary and Joseph and the Christ child. It's the window that I look at through the other side every morning when I say morning prayer, and up at the top are some delightful additional scenes of the wise men's journey, sort of traipsing across deserts and in ships and so on. You'll see them much better when it's completely dark outside, but that blue area up at the top above the heads is as much full of detail as all the rest of the picture. So we move on round the corner and slightly back in the story from the wise men to the beginning of the birth story of Jesus and the moment where the angel Gabriel comes and pays Mary a visit. In this scene, Gabriel is the one on the right and Mary is the one on the left. You can spot a hint of angels' wings on the right. You can see that Mary's obviously engaged in something on the left, and there's a lily at the bottom, which you almost always find in pictures of the Virgin Mary in stained glass windows. And then we move past the door to the chapel and on to the best of the Christmas windows of the lot, which of course is the scene itself. Jesus has just been born. There are shepherds who bundled down from the fields, having been given the message of an angel, and up there behind them you can see a vast multitude of angels. Again, it's the scene in blue. It doesn't come across very clearly on this video, but again, come here when it's completely dark outside and you will get an amazing view, not only of the angels in the lower window, but also, and this is true of a lot of our windows, of the angels up above as well. In some of the windows, they're angels up above, in others, they're saints. And in other windows, yet again, people like musicians and things like that. Loads of detail to look out for. And I'm not altogether sure how all of it will come across when it gets completely dark, but that'll be another exploration at another time. The next window is the fourth of our Christmas windows. It's the story that takes place 40 days after Jesus is born, when he is taken to the temple in Jerusalem by Mary and Joseph and is presented and is greeted by an old man, Simeon, and an even older woman called Anna. And Simeon sings a great song of praise to God. Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace according to thy word. That's the last of the Christmas story windows, ending the season, and it's important to us on the 2nd of February, the feast that we call Candlemas. Moving on from there, And we have the last of the windows in this first sequence, which is the story of the first of Jesus's miracles, the miracle of turning water into wine at Cana in Galilee. Look out for all sorts of different people with different attitudes to the wedding feast, to the servants who are pouring the wine, to Mary, who's giving them a good hint that Jesus might have something up his sleeve that he can do for them. And if you look above in this window, here's an example of musicians. I suppose they're the musicians entertaining the guests at the wedding feast. As I say, that's the end of the first sequence. We now have to go around the south door to get to the next sequence. Next, we come to one of the stories of Jesus further on in his life, where he and his disciples have gone to the town of Samaria. They've stopped at a well to get a drink, and a woman from the town, who is the only one who's out there in the middle of the day, offers him a drink of water. It's a famous meeting between Jesus and someone who isn't of the Jewish faith. And again, as with all our windows, there's a lot of story details being packed into there, including, if you look at all the disciples up top right, you'll see they've been into town, they've got their supplies, their essential supplies, which of course they're allowed to go out for even in lockdown, and they've brought it back to Jesus so they can keep themselves supplied. Immediately to the left of that one, we have one of the stories of Jesus's miracles. This is one that's told in St. Luke's Gospel. It's the story of the son of the widow of Nain, and there we have Jesus preparing to perform the miracle as the body of the son is brought out before him. Round the corner again we go, and we actually then at this point step back in the story of Jesus to something earlier. This is the moment when he presents himself before John the Baptist and is baptized in the River Jordan. But there's Jesus with the heavens opened above him and something that looks like a dove coming down. The voice is heard. There's John to the right. And there are a couple of witnesses ready to clothe Jesus, by the look of it, in some new garment on the left. Are they angels? Yes, they are. It's amazing what you don't pay much attention to, even from the inside, when it's tucked round a corner. But there you are, the baptism of Jesus. Now, on past round the huge tower that we have, we're not lighting up the high window in the tower that shows 8 famous saints, 4 from the Mediterranean Church, 4 from the British Church. We're moving straight on to the companion piece window to this one, which shows the other scene where a voice is heard from heaven. So we're going from baptism to the scene called the Transfiguration. So here's the Transfiguration. Let's get a bit closer. You've got Jesus in sort of dazzling light at the top. You've got Moses and Elijah appearing either side of him, and 3 disciples at the bottom, Peter, James and John, completely overcome by the experience. Peter is the one who comes up with the bright idea of building shelters up on the top of a mountain so that it can stay a bit longer. But Jesus doesn't follow that request, and in due course back down they come. Now we've got 4 more illuminated windows to go from this point, and they're either side of the main door. This window here, which is in the back corner of church, is possibly one of our best pictures of the lot. It's the story of the miraculous capture of fish, which is told in St. Luke's Gospel chapter 5. The point at which in St. Luke's Gospel the various fishermen, Peter and Andrew, James and John, decide to follow Jesus. It's full of naturalistic detail, as well of course as more than one ship. And unlike many of the windows, the main picture goes right to the top of the window. There aren't just angels and saints lurking up at the top. It's the biggest scene of the lot, and it's so dramatic, including of course all the wildlife down at the bottom, some of it very interested in the fish. The window next to it is another of Jesus's healing miracles. This is at the pool of Siloam, and you can see the man who's waiting to be healed sitting on the ground, looking not exactly in the best of health, down left of centre there. There's Jesus, and strangely a rather odd angel popping up from nowhere in particular, with what looks like a stick in the hand. No, I don't know why. And up top, well, bunch of shepherds perhaps. You make up your mind. And finally, two more illuminated windows. We're getting on towards the story of Jesus going to Jerusalem to meet his fate before Pontius Pilate. And the first of these windows is when he goes to the house of Simon the Pharisee, and one of the women in the company kneels at Jesus's feet and anoints them with precious ointment. Simon has quite an exchange with the Pharisee, who thinks he's being very hospitable, but Jesus suggests that perhaps the woman has given rather more of herself. Again, loads of detail about food, about people's attitudes to each other. It's one of those windows where, a bit like when you watch a big crowd on stage, everybody has their own conversation to take place. And here in this picture, not everyone's attending to Jesus at the point the miracle happens. The last of our illuminated windows is the one where Jesus enters into Jerusalem on what we call Palm Sunday. You can see the donkey, you can see the crowds. Who knows whether there were any crowds like this? There are even people up the trees waving their branches, lots of angels getting very happy at the top, and people throwing their coats into the road, and a few folk looking on, and a whole cast of trumpeters too, getting very excited. We do actually have two more ground floor windows that display scenes of Jesus's life as he goes into Jerusalem and is brought before Pontius Pilate. Sadly, we haven't got bright lights behind them, so they don't come across very well in photographs. But if you do continue and look closely, you'll at least catch a glimpse in this window, if you look hard, of Jesus in the dark of the Garden of Gethsemane while some of his friends sleep. I'm sorry it's not brighter. We may be able to make this one slightly brighter a little later on when we replace a couple of light bulbs, but we don't have the main lighting inside behind this one that we do with the windows you've seen so far. I say the last of them, which again is dimly lit but slightly better lit than the previous one, is Jesus appearing before Pontius Pilate. And that point where you can see the light at the strongest is the place where the bowl is for Pilate to wash his hands, and there's a servant boy with a jug there about to pour the water in, so that Pilate can wash his hands of the decision that is made. Where's Jesus standing in this picture? He's in the shadowy right of centre one that you can see there. If I move slightly this way, that's not going to improve the vision at all, I'm afraid. I say I'm sorry with these last two, we can't illuminate them as well as the others, but you've been able to see, as we've gone around the building, 15 of these 17 windows with great clarity. They're all covered in copper protective mesh, which means that attempts to photograph may be slightly doomed, but you can see all the detail through the mesh with quite a lot of clarity. So if you come and take a look, I do hope you enjoy the scene. I do hope it's something that has been worth the journey, and one day we hope that you'll be able to come back and have a look at them uncovered from the inside the right way around. Thanks for watching. It's been really good to be able to do this, and we hope that these next 27 days before Christmas, and then the 12 days of Christmas, when we'll keep on lighting the ones round the far side where the Christmas story is told, that you'll enjoy them and be able to come and have a really great reminder of the story of Christmas and the rest of Jesus's life. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.